Movies and series. How stories on screen shape the way we think, feel, and live. We sit down, press play, and suddenly, we're transported into distant galaxies, medieval kingdoms, gritty urban jungles, or quiet lives filled with emotional weight. We cry for characters we've never met, laugh with people who don't exist, sometimes find pieces of ourselves we didn't know were missing. That's the power of movies and series, the great modern mirrors of the human experience. But what lies beneath the screen? What makes a film unforgettable? What transforms a series into a cultural movement? In this deep dive, we'll explore how movies and TV shows have evolved, how they impact our emotions and thinking, and why analyzing them is more important than ever. The screen as a reflection of society. From the early days of black and white silent films to today's 4K streaming epics, cinema and television have always mirrored the world around us. Every frame, every script, every character choice speaks not just to entertainment, but to culture, politics, values, and time. Think about it. The noir films of the 1940s reflected post-war anxiety. The rebellious youth of the 70s. They echoed a generation questioning authority. And the explosion of superhero franchises in the 2000s, a response to a world craving safety and certainty in chaotic times. TV series do the same. Sitcoms like Friends and The Office shaped our idea of adulthood and work life. Breaking Bad and The Sopranos made us root for anti-heroes. Black Mirror warned us about our toxic relationship with technology. Stories don't just entertain, they comment, challenge. They reveal what we're too afraid to say out loud. Characters. Mirrors and windows, the characters we fall in love with are never just fiction. They're carefully crafted reflections of us, or who we wish we were. They're flawed, aspirational, broken, or brave. Sometimes all at once. We see ourselves in the underdog, like Rocky, in the dreamer in the broken genius like Sherlock. And just as often, we find catharsis in the villain, the one who dares to do what we wouldn't. Like Killmonger in Black Panther or Joe Goldberg in You, TV excels at this. Series give us time, hours, seasons to build relationships with characters. We grow with them, mourn with them, change with them. Analyzing these characters means asking hard questions. Why do we empathize with someone who lies? Why do we root for a killer? Why does a romantic subplot affect us so deeply? These aren't just fictional journeys, they're emotional maps, where we explore morality, trauma, growth, and identity. Structure, symbolism, and storytelling techniques, every great story has layers. Narrative structure, whether it's the 3-act model or something more experimental, shapes our emotional journey. There's setup, conflict, resolution, sometimes disruption without closure, like in The Sopranos' infamous final cut to black. Symbolism adds depth, a spinning top in Inception, a red coat in Schindler's List, the chessboard in The Queen's Gambit. These aren't just props, they are psychological keys. Cinematography, lighting, sound design, all tools of emotional manipulation. Ever noticed how horror uses silence better than noise? Or how a single piano note can signal heartbreak? Color palettes speak to? Think of Breaking Bad's use of green for greed, yellow for danger, or how Euphoria drenches trauma in meaning. To analyze a film or series is to become fluent in visual language, where every cut, angle, and silence means something. Emotion, empathy, and the viewer's brain. Why do we cry during a Pixar film? Why does the death of a fictional character feel real? Science gives us part of the answer. Mirror neurons in our brain fire as if we're experiencing what the character is feeling. Good storytelling doesn't just tell, it transfers. Movies like Inside Out aren't just for kids. They teach emotional intelligence. Series like this, as us, explore grief and generational trauma with painful honesty. The Handmaid's Tale forces us into moral discomfort and then dares us to stay there. This is more than entertainment. It's therapy. It's self-discovery. It's human connection through a screen. Cultural impact and collective memory. Some films define generations. Think of Star Wars, Titanic, The Matrix, The Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. These weren't just box office hits, they became part of our collective language. TV shows like Game of Thrones or Stranger Things united millions worldwide, episode after episode. They gave us memes, fashion trends, fandoms, and heated dinner table debates. Analyzing cultural impact means going beyond plot. It means asking, why did this story resonate now? What fears or hopes did it tap into? How did it change the way we speak, act, or think? And in an era of endless content, the stories that break through do so for a reason. Answer a question we didn't know we were asking. Representation, identity, and inclusion. Representation matters. Who gets to be the hero? Who gets to fall in love? Who gets to exist on screen? For too long, films and series were dominated by a narrow lens. White, male, straight, able-bodied. That's changing. Shows like Pose brought trans stories to the forefront. Black Panther redefined what a black-led blockbuster could be. Everything Everywhere All at Once centered immigrant, Asian, queer experience in a wildly original way. Analyzing representation is not about being politically correct. It's about truth. Whose stories are told, who's missing, who's silenced. When a kid sees someone like them as a Jedi, a princess, a genius, or a leader, it changes everything. It tells them you matter. Streaming, binge culture, and the algorithm era, the way we watch has changed. Streaming platforms like Netflix, HBO Max, and Disney Plus have transformed storytelling. We binge, we pause, we rewind, and in doing so, we experience narratives differently. Series are now written with binging in mind. Cliffhangers are sharper. Character arcs are slower, but deeper. Dialogue is subtler. Visuals are richer. But with algorithms deciding what we see, there's a hidden cost. Recommendation engines push more of what's familiar. We risk living in echo chambers of taste, rarely exposed to stories outside our comfort zone. True analysis means breaking that cycle. It means actively seeking what challenges us. Foreign films, indie gems, experimental formats, because cinema's power lies in its diversity, of form, of story, of voice,